The ship landed with a soft hum. Yuna looked through the small window and saw the academy for the first time. It was huge. Towers made of glass and metal reached up into the purple sky. Floating platforms moved between buildings, carrying students from many different worlds. This was the Galactic Unity Academy, the best school in the known universe. And Yuna was the first human to ever walk through its doors. She picked up her small bag and stepped off the ship. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. 2 suns hung in the sky, one orange and one white. Everything felt different here. Everything felt alien. Yuna was 17 years old. She had short black hair and dark eyes. She was not tall. She was not strong. She looked like any normal girl from Earth, but she had worked harder than anyone to be here. She had passed tests that were designed for species with 4 arms, or wings, or minds that could calculate faster than computers. She had beaten them all, and nobody believed she deserved to be here. A tall creature approached her. It walked on 6 legs and had a head like an insect. Its eyes were large and black. This was Vrel, her orientation guide. He looked at Yuna the way someone might look at a bug they wanted to step on. "You are the human," Vrel said. His voice clicked and buzzed. "Follow me. Do not fall behind. I will not slow down for you." Yuna followed without complaint. She had expected this. Before she left Earth, her teachers had warned her. The galaxy did not respect humans. To most alien species, Earth was a small, unimportant planet. Humans were seen as weak, primitive, and fragile. They broke easily. They died easily. They had only discovered space travel 200 years ago. Most species in the Academy had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Vrel led her through wide hallways filled with students. Yuna saw creatures of every shape and size. Some had scales. Some had fur. Some floated in the air. Some had no faces at all. They all stopped to stare at her as she passed. "Is that the human?" Someone whispered. "So small. How is it still alive? I heard their bones are hollow, like a bird. They cannot even see in the dark. How did they survive on their own planet?" Yuna kept her eyes forward. She did not respond. She had learned long ago that words were useless against people who had already decided what they thought of you. Only actions mattered. Only results. Vrel brought her to the registration hall. A massive room filled with floating screens and busy officials. He handed her a metal card. "This is your identification," he said. "You have been placed in Squad 12, Remedial Combat Division. Your quarters are in Building 7. Do not be late for orientation tomorrow." He paused and looked at her with something like pity. "I suggest you enjoy tonight. Many students do not survive the first week." Then he walked away without another word. Yuna looked at her card. Squad 12. She knew what that meant. The lowest ranked squad in the entire academy. The place where they put students they expected to fail. She found her way to Building 7. It was old and gray, far from the beautiful towers at the center of campus. The walls were cracked. The lights flickered. This was where the unwanted students lived. Her room was small. A bed, a desk, a window that looked out at nothing but rock. Yuna set her bag down and sat on the bed. For a moment, she allowed herself to feel tired. The journey from Earth had taken 4 months. She had slept in a tiny pod, eating recycled food, breathing recycled air. She had watched videos of the Academy, studied every species she might encounter, learned their languages and their customs, and still, she was not ready for how alone she would feel. A knock came at her door. Yuna stood and opened it. 2 figures stood outside. The first was a reptile. She had green scales, yellow eyes, and a long tail. Her name was Tiru. The second was massive, nearly 8 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin like gray stone. His name was Bale. They were her squad mates. "So you are the human," Tiru said. Her tongue flicked out, tasting the air. I did not believe it when they told me. Bale said nothing. He simply stared at Yuna like she was something strange and confusing. "I am Yuna," she said. "It is nice to meet you." Tiru laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "Nice? Nothing about this is nice. Human. We are Squad 12. The failures. The rejects. And now we have you. A creature made of water and soft tissue." She leaned closer. "You will not last 1 week. Your kind breaks too easily." Bale finally spoke. His voice was deep and slow. "She is not wrong. I have seen humans before. On a trading station. One fell from a platform. Only 3 meters. He died. That is unfortunate," Yuna said calmly. "I will try not to fall." Tiru and Bale exchanged a look. They were not sure what to make of this human who did not seem afraid. "Orientation begins at sunrise," Tiru said. "Do not be late. And do not expect us to protect you." She turned and walked away. Bale followed, his heavy footsteps shaking the floor. Yuna closed her door and returned to her bed. She reached into her bag and pulled out a letter. It was from her father. She had read it many times during the journey, but she read it again now. "My daughter," the letter said, "you are going somewhere no human has ever been. You will face creatures who are stronger, faster, and older than you can imagine. They will look at you and see weakness. They will laugh at you. They will try to break you. Let them believe you are nothing, because that is when you will show them the truth. Humans are not strong because of our bodies. We are strong because we do not give up, ever. Remember who you are. Remember where you come from. And make them remember too." Yuna folded the letter and placed it under her pillow. Outside her window, the 2 suns were setting. Tomorrow, everything would begin. Tomorrow, she would start proving them all wrong. She lay down and closed her eyes. Sleep came quickly. She dreamed of Earth, of green forests and blue oceans, of her family waiting for her to come home. But she also dreamed of the arena, of standing alone while thousands watched, of showing the galaxy what a human could do. Yuna smiled in her sleep. They had no idea what was coming. 3 days passed at the academy. 3 days of stares and whispers. 3 days of being treated like she was already dead. Yuna attended her classes in silence. She sat in the back and took notes while her teachers explained combat techniques designed for bodies very different from hers. She watched students with claws practice tearing through metal. She observed creatures with armored skin bounce off walls without feeling pain. She studied them all carefully, memorizing every movement, every weakness, every pattern. Her squad mates, Tiru and Bale, ignored her mostly. They trained together and ate together, but they never invited Yuna. She was a burden to them. A joke. Having a human in their squad was an embarrassment. On the morning of the 4th day, something changed. Commander Roth stood at the center of the training arena. He was tall and thin, with gray skin that rippled like water when he moved. He was the combat fundamentals instructor, and every first-year student feared him. His voice was cold and sharp. "Today we will test your basic abilities," Roth announced. "Each of you will face a level 3 combat drone. This will show me what you can do." The arena was a large circular pit surrounded by seats. Normally, only the first-year students watched these tests. But today, the seats were filling with older students. Hundreds of them. Then thousands. They came from every building, every division, every species. Yuna understood why. Word had spread. The human was going to fight today. They had come to watch her fail. The combat drone floated in the center of the pit. It was a metal sphere with 6 long arms. Each arm ended in a padded surface designed to hit without killing. But Yuna knew these drones were still dangerous. They could break bones. They could knock students unconscious. They could end careers before they started. One by one, students entered the pit. A creature covered in blue fur went first. It lasted 3 minutes before the drone knocked it down. A student with wings tried to fly above the drone, but the machine was too fast. It pulled her from the air in 2 minutes. Tiru entered the pit and fought hard, spitting acid at the drone sensors. She lasted 4 minutes before a metal arm struck her chest and sent her flying. The class average was 5 minutes. Bale, with his 4 arms and stone skin, managed 6 minutes. He was proud of this result. Then Commander Roth looked at his list and called the next name. Yuna, human, you are next. The laughter started immediately. It came from everywhere. From the seats above. From the students waiting their turn. From species that had traveled across galaxies to attend this academy. They all laughed at the same thing. A small human girl walking toward a combat drone. Does she even know how to fight? Humans cannot see fast movements. This will be over in seconds. Someone should stop this. It is cruel. 20 creds, says she cries. I say she runs away before it starts. Yuna walked to the center of the pit. She did not look at the crowd. She did not respond to their words. She simply stood in position and waited. Commander Roth raised his hand. His gray face showed no emotion, but Yuna thought she saw something in his eyes. Curiosity, maybe. Or doubt. The test begins now, he said. Survive as long as you can. The drone activated. Its 6 arms spread wide. Its sensors locked onto Yuna. Red lights blinked across its surface. Then it attacked. The drone moved fast. Faster than most students could see. Its first arm shot toward Yuna's head with enough force to knock her unconscious. But Yuna was not there. She had stepped to the side. Not far. Just a few inches. Just enough for the arm to pass by her ear. Close enough to feel the wind. The crowd went quiet. The drone attacked again. A second arm came from below, aiming for her stomach. Yuna twisted her body and let the arm pass. A third arm swept toward her legs. She jumped, just barely, and the arm cut through empty air. The silence in the arena grew deeper. Yuna was not fast. Anyone watching could see that. The aliens in the crowd could move 3 times quicker than her. But speed was not what made her different. She was reading the drone. Every machine had patterns. Every attack had a warning. A small movement before the strike. A shift in weight. A change in the lights. Yuna saw these things. She had trained her eyes and her mind to notice details that others missed. While other species relied on strength or speed, humans had learned to watch, to wait, to predict. This was how our ancestors had survived on Earth, a planet filled with animals that were bigger, faster, and deadlier than humans. They survived not by being the strongest, but by being the smartest, by watching their prey for hours, by learning its habits, by striking only when they knew they would win. The drone attacked again and again. 1 minute passed, then 2, then 3. Yuna moved like water, flowing around every strike. She never ran. She never panicked. She simply watched and moved. At the 4-minute mark. Yuna did something unexpected. She attacked. Her fist shot forward and hit a joint in one of the drone's arms. It was a small joint, almost invisible. But Yuna had been watching it for 90 seconds. She knew it was weak. The arm locked up. Sparks flew from the joint. Before the drone could respond, Yuna struck again. 3 fast hits to its sensor array. The lights flickered. The drone tried to swing another arm, but it was off balance now, confused by the damage. Yuna dropped low and swept her leg across the drone's base. It was a simple move, something any fighter knew. But she hit exactly the right spot at exactly the right moment. The drone fell. It crashed to the ground with a loud metal sound and did not get up. Yuna stood over it, breathing calmly. The arena was completely silent. Over 2,000 aliens stared at the impossible. A human had just defeated a level 3 combat drone. Not by running away. Not by getting lucky. She had beaten it with skill and patience and intelligence. Commander Roth checked his display. He checked it again. His voice was strange when he spoke. Time: 4 minutes, 32 seconds. Victory by first strike. He paused. This result has not been achieved in the remedial division for 17 years. Yuna walked out of the pit. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply returned to her place and waited for the test to continue. But the test did not continue. Not really. Everyone was too busy staring at her. Too busy trying to understand what they had just seen. Turu looked at Yuna with new eyes. Bale's stone face showed something that might have been respect. And in the seats above, among the thousands of aliens who had come to laugh at her, not a single one was laughing anymore. By sunset, everyone in the academy knew the human's name. Yuna sat alone in the dining hall, eating her meal quietly, but she could feel the eyes on her. Thousands of them. Students from every species watched her from across the room. They whispered to each other and pointed at her with claws and tentacles and fins. That is her, the one who beat the drone. Impossible. There must be a mistake. I watched the recording 5 times. She really did it, but she's so small, so weak-looking. Maybe humans are not what we thought. Yuna continued eating. She had expected this reaction. After years of being ignored, she was now the most famous student in the academy. But fame was not her goal. She was here to prove something much bigger. Her communicator buzzed. A message from the academy network. Someone had uploaded her fight to the public system. In the 4 hours since her test, it had been viewed over 50,000 times. Students, teachers, and even officials from the Galactic Council were watching a human defeat a combat drone. Comments flooded the video. How did she predict its movements? Her technique is strange. I have never seen anything like it. Humans are supposed to be the weakest species. What is going on? Luck. It must be luck. Yuna closed her communicator. She knew it was not luck. She had trained for this moment her entire life. On Earth, humans were not the fastest animals. They were not the strongest. They could not fly or breathe underwater or see in complete darkness. But they had something else. Something that no other species in the galaxy seemed to have. Patience. Humans were persistence hunters. Long ago, the 4 cities and technology, her ancestors survived by chasing their prey. They did not catch animals by being fast. They caught them by never stopping. A human could walk for hours under the burning sun while other animals collapsed from heat. A human could track a deer for an entire day until the deer could not run anymore. This was the human superpower. Not strength, not speed. Endurance. Determination. The ability to keep going when everything else had given up. The academy did not understand this yet. But they would. The next morning, Yuna arrived at her combat class to find it crowded with visitors. Students from the senior divisions had come to watch her train. Scientists with scanning equipment wanted to study her movements. Even some teachers from other departments stood in the back, curious about the human who had beaten their expectations. Commander Roth walked through the crowd with his usual cold expression. "Enough," he said. "This is a training class, not a show. If you are not enrolled, leave now." Most of the visitors left, but a few stayed, hiding in the corners. They were too curious to go. The class began with basic drills: running, jumping, climbing. The exercises were designed for the strongest species, and Una struggled with some of them. She could not climb as fast as students with claws. She could not jump as high as students with powerful legs. In pure physical tests, she was at the bottom of the class. But then Roth announced the next exercise: prediction training. A screen showed random patterns of light. Students had to guess where the next light would appear. It was a test of awareness and attention. Most species found it boring. They preferred tests of strength. Una scored the highest in the class. By far, she predicted 17 patterns in a row without a single mistake. The next best score was 9. The room went silent again. How? Tiru demanded. Her yellow eyes were wide with disbelief. Your senses are weaker than ours. You cannot see as many colors. You cannot hear as many sounds. How can you predict better than us? Una thought for a moment before answering. On my planet, she said, humans learn to survive by watching. We watch the sky to predict storms. We watch the ground to track animals. We watched each other to understand feelings and intentions. Our eyes are not the strongest, but our minds learn to use them better. She paused. I do not see more than you. I simply notice more. After class, Bale approached Una. The massive four-armed warrior had never spoken to her directly before. He stood in front of her, blocking out the light like a mountain. I was wrong about you, he said slowly. His voice was deep and serious. I thought you were weak. I thought you would die quickly. But you are not what I expected. Thank you, Una said. Do not thank me yet. Bale's stone face shifted into something that might have been concern. You have made yourself visible. There are students here who do not like being shown up by a first year, especially a human first year. I understand, Una said. Do you? Bale leaned closer. The Senior Combat Division has a champion. Her name is Kira. She is Velith. Do you know what that means? Una nodded. The Velith were one of the most feared warrior species in the galaxy. They had never lost a war. Their bodies were covered in armored scales that could stop bullets. Their claws could cut through metal. They were stronger, faster, and more deadly than almost anything alive. Kira has noticed you, Bale continued. She does not like that a human is getting attention. She will come for you. And when she does, prediction and patience will not be enough. Una looked up at the big warrior. Have you fought her? Bale was silent for a moment. Then he lifted one of his forearms. A long scar ran across it, from shoulder to wrist. The stone skin had been cut clean through. She did that in 30 seconds, he said. And she was not even trying. Una studied the scar. It was deep, clean. A perfect cut from a perfect predator. Thank you for the warning, she said. Bale nodded and walked away. His heavy footsteps echoed through the empty hallway. That night, Una did not sleep. She went to the academy library and found every recording of Kira's fights. There were dozens of them. In each one, Kira destroyed her opponent in minutes. She was fast, brutal, unstoppable. But Una watched carefully. She watched every fight 10 times, 20 times. She slowed down the recordings and studied each movement frame by frame. Everyone had patterns. Everyone had weaknesses. It did not matter how strong they were or how fast they moved. If you watched long enough, you could find the cracks. The sun was rising when Una finally turned off her screen. Her eyes were tired, but her mind was clear. She had found what she was looking for. Kira was coming for her. The whole academy expected Una to run or hide or beg for mercy. But Una had other plans. She was not just going to survive the challenge. She was going to win it. Kira found Una in the dining hall 3 days later. Una was eating breakfast with Tiru and Bale. It was the first time they had invited her to sit with them. Things had changed since her victory against the drone. Her squad mates no longer treated her like a burden. They treated her like a mystery they were trying to solve. The dining hall was crowded with students from every species. The morning light came through tall windows, making the room bright and warm. Conversations filled the air in a dozen different languages. Then everything went quiet. Kira walked through the hall like a storm moving across open water. Students stepped aside without being asked. Tables that were in her path were quickly moved. She was 7 feet tall and covered in dark green scales that looked like armor. Her eyes were golden yellow, with thin black lines running through them. Her claws were long and sharp, designed for one purpose only: killing. She walked directly to Yuna's table and stopped. Her shadow covered all 3 of them. "You are the human," Kira said. Her voice was deep and smooth, like a predator pretending to be calm. "I have heard much about you." Yuna set down her food and looked up. "I have heard about you too." Kira smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It showed rows of teeth that could bite through bone. "Then you know what I am. What my species has done. We have conquered 47 worlds. We have never lost a war. We have never been defeated." "Impressive," Yuna said calmly. "You do not seem afraid. Should I be?" The dining hall was completely silent now. Hundreds of students watched with wide eyes. Some had taken out their communicators to record. They knew something important was about to happen. Kira leaned forward. Her face was inches from Yuna's. "I have watched your little victory against the drone. Cute, very cute. You moved well for a creature made of water and wheat bones. But defeating a machine is not the same as defeating a warrior." "I agree," Yuna said. "So you admit you are nothing special?" "No." Yuna met Kira's golden eyes without looking away. "I admit that the drone was not a real challenge. Perhaps I need something harder." Silence. Then a low growl from Kira's throat. Tiru grabbed Yuna's arm under the table. Her claws dug in, a warning. Bale had stopped breathing. Kira straightened up. Her scales shifted and clicked against each other. "Are you challenging me, human?" "I am saying you seem very confident for someone who has only fought students who were already afraid of her." "I am not afraid of you." "Does that make you uncomfortable?" The words hung in the air like smoke. Kira's eyes narrowed. For a moment, Yuna thought the Velith might attack right there. But then Kira laughed. It was a cold, sharp sound. "You have courage, little human. I will give you that. Most creatures run when they see me. They know their place." She tilted her head. "But courage without strength is just another word for stupidity." "Then test me," Yuna said. "A formal challenge. You and me. Let everyone see who is stupid." Gasps rippled through the crowd. A formal challenge could not be refused without disgrace. It was an ancient tradition, respected by every species in the academy. Once issued, it had to be answered. Kira's smile grew wider. "You understand that I could kill you. The rules allow it. The rules allow many things. That does not mean they will happen." Kira stared at Yuna for a long moment. The dining hall was so quiet that Yuna could hear her own heartbeat. Slow and steady. "Not afraid." "Tomorrow," Kira finally said. Sunset bell. Main arena. Full contact, no restrictions. She turned to walk away, then stopped and looked back over her shoulder. "Wear something nice, human. I want you to look good when you die." She walked out of the dining hall. The students parted for her like water around a shark dot as soon as she was gone. The room exploded with noise. Everyone started talking at once. Communicators buzzed with messages. The news was spreading already. A human had challenged the Academy champion. By tomorrow, the entire galaxy would know. Tiru grabbed Yuna's shoulders and shook her. "Are you crazy?" Kira has hospitalized 3 students this semester alone. She broke someone's spine last year. She will destroy you. Maybe, Yuna said. Maybe. There is no maybe. You are human. She is Velith. It is like an insect fighting a mountain. Bale spoke slowly, his voice heavy with worry. Tiru is right. I have fought Kira. I know what she can do. She does not just defeat her opponents. She crushes them. She humiliates them. She enjoys causing pain. I know, Yuna said. I have watched all her fights. Then why did you challenge her? Yuna stood up from the table. She looked at her two squadmates. They had started as strangers who wanted nothing to do with her. Now they were worried about her safety. It was the closest thing to friendship she had found since arriving at the academy. On Earth, Yuna said, we have a story about a small creature called David and a giant called Goliath. Everyone believed David would lose. He was small and weak. Goliath was huge and covered in armor. But David did not fight the way Goliath expected. He used his mind instead of his muscles. He found a weakness that no one else could see. And he won. Tiru hissed. That is a nice story. But this is not a story. This is real. Kira will tear you apart. Maybe she will try. Yuna picked up her bag. But I have watched her. Every fight. Every movement. Every pattern. She is strong and fast, yes. But she is also predictable. She has never faced someone who was not afraid of her. She has never faced someone willing to wait. Wait for what? Bale asked. Yuna looked out the window at the purple sky. The two suns were rising, painting everything in shades of gold and orange. Wait for her to make a mistake. She walked out of the dining hall, leaving her squadmates staring after her. That night, Yuna did not sleep. She sat in her room and read her father's letter one more time. His words gave her strength. They reminded her why she had come here. Not just for herself. For Earth. For every human who had ever been called weak or primitive or insignificant. Tomorrow, she would step into the arena with the deadliest warrior in the academy. Tomorrow, she would fight a creature that was designed for killing. And tomorrow, she would show the galaxy what humans were really made of. The two suns set outside her window. Darkness covered the academy. Somewhere, Kira was probably sleeping peacefully, confident in her victory. Yuna smiled. Let her sleep. Let her dream of easy victory. She would learn the truth soon enough. The main arena could hold 10,000 spectators. Every seat was filled. Students sat on stairs and stood in doorways. Floating cameras circled above, broadcasting the fight to billions of viewers across the galaxy. This was the most watched event in Academy history. Everyone wanted to see the human die. Yuna entered from the east gate. She wore simple gray training clothes. No armor, no weapons, no protection of any kind. She walked slowly across the sand-covered floor, her footsteps making soft sounds in the complete silence. The crowd stared at her with a mix of curiosity and pity. She looked so small, so fragile, so very, very human. Kira entered from the west gate. The Velith champion wore ceremonial battle armor that had been in her family for 600 years. It covered her scales with additional plates of metal, making her look even more massive and terrifying. Her golden eyes glowed in the arena lights. Her claws extended fully, each one as long as a knife. She walked with the confidence of someone who had never known defeat. The crowd cheered for her. They stomped their feet and slammed their limbs against seats. The sound was like thunder rolling through the arena. Kira smiled and raised her arms, enjoying the attention. Then she looked at Yuna. Her smile turned cold. The officiating elder floated to the center of the arena. He was ancient, his body held together by technology and willpower. His voice echoed through speakers that reached every corner of the massive space. This is a formal challenge under Academy law. The match ends upon submission, incapacitation, or death. There are no other rules. Do both parties understand and accept these terms? I accept, Kira said loudly. The crowd cheered again. I accept, Yuna said quietly. The crowd went silent. The elder raised his staff. Then let the challenge begin. Kira attacked immediately. She moved like lightning. One moment she was standing across the arena. The next moment she was right in front of Yuna, her claws cutting through the air in a deadly arc. It was a killing strike, designed to end the fight in 1 second. But Yuna was not there. She had stepped to the side at the last possible moment. Kira's claws missed her by the width of a finger. The crowd gasped. Kira spun and attacked again. A low sweep aimed at Yuna's legs. Yuna jumped over it. A high strike toward her head. Yuna ducked under it. A straight thrust toward her chest. Yuna twisted and let it pass by her ribs. She was not blocking. She was not attacking. She was simply not being where Kira's claws wanted her to be. The crowd fell silent. Kira attacked again and again. Her speed was incredible. Her strength was devastating. Every strike would have killed Yuna instantly if it had connected. But none of them did. Yuna moved like water flowing around stone, like wind passing through trees. She did not waste energy on unnecessary movements. She did not show fear or panic. She simply watched and moved. 1 minute passed. Then 5. Then 10. The crowd began to whisper. How is the human still alive? She's not even sweating. This is impossible. But it was not impossible. It was human. On Earth, humans had evolved as persistence hunters. While other predators relied on speed to catch their prey, humans relied on endurance. They could walk and run for hours under the burning sun. They could sweat to cool their bodies while other animals collapsed from heat. They could keep going when everything else had stopped. Kira was fast. Kira was deadly. But Kira was also getting tired. 15 minutes into the fight, the Velith champion was breathing heavily. Her attacks had slowed. Her movements were becoming predictable. She had never fought this long before. She had never needed to. Yuna saw the change. She had been waiting for it. Kira lunged forward with another killing strike. But she was slower now, tired, frustrated, and Yuna had watched this exact attack pattern 47 times in the recordings. She knew exactly what was coming. Yuna stepped inside Kira's reach. For 1 heartbeat, they were face to face, closer than they had been all fight. Kira's golden eyes went wide with surprise. Then Yuna struck. Her fist hit the nerve cluster behind Kira's knee. It was a spot hidden beneath the scales, invisible to most eyes. But Yuna had found it in the recordings. A weakness. A crack in the armor. Kira's leg buckled. Before she could recover, Yuna struck again. An elbow to the small gap between the chest plates. A palm strike to the soft tissue beneath the jaw. 3 hits. 3 seconds. 3 targets that Yuna had identified through hours and hours of careful watching. Kira fell. The greatest warrior in the academy crashed to the ground like a statue pushed off a cliff. She tried to get up, but her body would not respond. The nerve strikes had shut down her muscles temporarily. The arena was completely silent. 10,000 aliens stared at the impossible. A human stood over the fallen champion of the Velith. Small, weak, UNARMORED. Victorious. While Yuna stepped back. She was breathing hard now. 20 minutes of constant movement had taken its toll. But she was still standing. Still alive. She extended her hand to Kira. The Velith warrior stared at the hand like she did not understand what it was. Her golden eyes were wide, confused, lost. No one had ever defeated her before. No one had ever offered to help her up after a fight. Slowly, Kira took the hand. Yuna pulled her to her feet. The Velith towered over her, even in defeat. Her scales were dented. Her armor was scratched. But the real damage was to her pride. How? Kira whispered. Her voice was hoarse. How did you do that? Yuna looked up at her. I watched. I waited. I learned. But I am stronger, faster, better in every way. Not every way. Yuna smiled slightly. Humans are not strong. We are not fast. We cannot see in the dark, or survive in space, or regenerate our limbs. But we can do something that your species never learned. What? We can lose 100 times and still wake up the next morning ready to try again. We can run for days without stopping. We can take the worst that the universe throws at us and keep moving forward. Yuna's eyes were steady, calm. On our planet, we were not the deadliest predators. But we became the dominant species anyway, because we never gave up, ever. Kira stared at her for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. I understand now, she said. Your strength is not in your body. No, it is in your will. The crowd watched in complete silence as the greatest warrior in the academy bowed her head to a human girl. It was a gesture of respect that Kira had never given to anyone before. Then someone started. Clapping. It was Bale. His forehands made a sound like thunder. Teru joined in, her scales clicking together. Then others. Then more. The applause spread through the arena like fire. 10,000 aliens, from dozens of species, from hundreds of worlds, all applauding for one small human. Yuna stood in the center of the arena and let the sound wash over her. This was not just a victory for her. It was a victory for Earth, for every human who had ever been underestimated, for every person who had been told they were not good enough. She thought of her father's letter. His words echoed in her mind. Make them remember who you are. Yuna looked up at the crowd. Her voice was quiet, but somehow everyone heard it. My name is Yuna. I am human. I'm just getting started. No one was laughing now. 3 years later, Yuna graduated first in her class. She became the highest-ranked student in the Academy's 400-year history. She returned to Earth as a commander, leading the first joint human-alien defense fleet. But she never forgot her first victory. The day she stood alone against the greatest warrior in the galaxy and proved that strength came in many forms. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest or the deadliest. They were small creatures from a small planet at the edge of the galaxy. But they had something that no other species truly understood. They never, ever gave up. And in a universe full of predators, that made them the most dangerous species of all.